Today we are on the Divine Discourse number 58, the 11th of June 2020, Sharvari Nam Samvatsar, Uttarayan, Grishma Rutu, Jyesht Mas, Krishna Paksh, Shashti, a Thursday. So right now we are on the most interesting, critical, you can call it as a turning point and a very prime junction. See, we have reasonably learned till yesterday that all the five panchakoshas, starting from the body till the Anandamaya kosha, which is the bliss sheath, we have seen that they are inert, they are objects, and they are various parts of the body which are functioning to support as an instrument to the true self, which is the Lord, Supreme Being, Consciousness. So, having known this comes as a big shock to us. Okay, I thought I am the seer, I am the knower, I am the observer all along. And suddenly I come to know that I is the Supreme Self, which is that consciousness, which is giving all this energy to all these five bodies. Then what is my true self then? I hope you all have this clear understanding. This should be the kind of dilemma in your mind as of now. I'm confused. Like, what is it now? If that is the true self, then where is me, myself? I'm nowhere in the picture then. Are you all getting this kind of a thought in your minds? Can you text me what your understanding is? See, always correct. Now Varsha says a big question as to who am I? Reason is we have come to know that the Supreme Being is the one who is entirely the consciousness which has kept this body, mind, pranas, everything ticking. So now, if we get what we are trying to understand today, I'll tell you, it will be a surprise for yourself, it will be an eye-opener, and it will also be the first step towards realization. This is very important. So we all have to walk together, try to pay full attention and understand what this I, this ego is all about. On one hand, we know it is the consciousness which is deep within and which is all pervading, and that is also now justified by Lord Sri Krishna, who has said that it is me and me alone who is operating in not only your body but in all the bodies of the entire universe. Kshetragnam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetra yagnor yajnam yat jnanam matam mama. Emphatically has said this, which means now you had an understanding that you are everything in your life. Now let's look at this. What is my nature? That I, that ego, what I am considering, what is it about? Let's look at that. See, as they say, alaukika vishaye veda pramanam. See, these are not all matters which are secular in nature, which are not worldly in nature. So for that, you have to go back to the scriptures. There is no other way where you can check what is all this about. So, one of the great sages of the last century, in mid of last century, somewhere around 1950s, Ramana Maharshi. So he says very clearly in one of his very important texts known as the Upadesha Sara. What does he say there? Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvataha aipatyaham nija vicharanam. Where does this I thought come from? Or where does this I thought arise? For one who inquires about this I thought, about this ahankara, this I thought will just wither away. It will fall away. It will stay in its place. And this is self-inquiry. This is the crux of the entire Upanishads. Because what is between us and the God is this aham factor. Earlier we discussed. Man minus ego equals God. God plus ego equals man. And man minus ego, man means a human, minus ego equals God. So that ego factor is that which has made us from infinite to finite. And from that Paramatma, it has brought us to Jivatma. And not only that, when we are operating in this entire world with that kartrutvam and bhoktrutvam, which is meaning I am doing, I am eating, I am giving, I am taking, everywhere it is I and me and mine, isn't it? So when this is the case, that is the only reason we are bound by the karma. Otherwise, you are liberated, you become one with the Lord. I had told you all the story about this Mani Mama, which is quite relevant at this point to understand about the inquiry of this I. Do you all remember that story, or you all want me to tell you all again? Okay. See, now what we are trying to understand, then if everything is the Lord within and He and is the Supreme Being, then where is this I factor, my ego or me as a person in this whole structure of this body jiva? In a village, there is a wedding in a very rich man's house. He is the head of the village, has about 300-400 acres of farm, plantation, where he's growing vegetables, fruits, paddy, and so many other crops. And in a nice location, he has this huge palacious bungalow. This is the story of the early last century. So, those days, weddings used to go on for at least a week, minimum week, max 10 days, 12 days, kind of a celebration. Now, the scene is set. Wedding is about the functions, meaning the first day of the wedding celebrations are yet to start in a day or two. The house is completely lit up. The mango leaf toran is tied everywhere. Flowers are tied everywhere. Children are playing around. A huge veranda in front of the house. Children are playing. Elderly people are sitting and sipping tea and coffee under the trees over there. Women are working and also gossiping. Decoration is still going on. Now, in this kind of a situation, a young lad about in his early 20s, he with balloons, toys, and then a lot of sweets, he enters the bungalow. Now, as he's walking into the bungalow, he sees all the children coming towards him, running, because he has got so many attractive things in his hands. And as he comes, he picks up the small children, he kisses them and lovingly talks to them, and that way he's distributing sweets, he's distributing toys, balloons. Oh, and more children are running towards him. Now he enters the house and he's greeted there very well, and he gets involved in the activities of the wedding preparation. He's helping the women in the kitchen, he's helping people who are doing the decoration, he's taking care of these elders who are sitting and gossiping. So he's moving all around the place. Now day 1, day 2, day 3, everybody with affection they're calling him Mani Mama. Mani is a very popular name in Tamil Nadu. So likewise goes on. One after the other functions are going on. Everywhere is in the lead. Everybody likes him. And that way, every day is passing on very well. Everybody is happy. And then the final wedding day comes. Now, on that wedding day, he's still more active. Eventually, the wedding is over. Now, the girl is departing. Bidai. And during that time, in the afternoon, there was a break. And one of the lady asked, "Oh, Mani Mama was so great. Thank God the wedding went on so well, much beyond our expectation. He was superb." And he asks her cousin, "I think he is your co-sister's relative, right?" Now she says, "No." And then each one asks, "I think he's your sister-in-law's relative, I thought." Then they ask, "I thought he's your grandfather's, some granddaughter or so and so son or something like that." Likewise, they keep asking. Everybody from the girl's side, they say no. They come to know that he's not their relative. Oh, then they say probably he's the relative of the boy's side. And there they go and they ask, "My mama is from your side?" They say no. We thought he is from the girl's side. Now see, while this news of inquiry about Mani Mama was floating around, Mani Mama gets to know this, that they're inquiring about me. Who is Mani Mama? Whose relative is he? And to their surprise, they find that this fellow packs his bags and silently runs away. Because he's nobody's relative. He has just sneaked into the wedding, and he knows he has tried this everywhere. He knows how big weddings take place. Nobody has got time to inquire about this. What you just need is you need to be lively, helpful, and giving all what one wants. That's all. In the same way, this ego is there. Now we'll come to the technicalities. Is there in the body, in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. But what is its job? Just an identity of a person. That's all. Now, when you go somewhere, if you have bought a particular thing, you should have that much identity. Yes, I have purchased this, I have paid money, and I need to pick it up and take it home. Only to that extent. Nothing beyond. If somebody calls you by your name, you should be able to say, yes, I am here, so and so. That's all. But here, what this consciousness has done, egotism or this I has done is it has enveloped us completely to an extent showing that it is the one which is pouring consciousness in the entire body and mind. That is what it has done. It has associated so strongly with each and every part of the body and claimed supremacy in the entire body-mind complex structure. This is what has to be understood. Now, how this has happened, let's get into some more understanding about this I. There is one text known as Drigdrishya Viveka, which has been written by Bhagavan Shankaracharya. So there he talks about how I has this egotism, small I, has manipulated in one's life. The primary factor is that we have been born under ignorance, where the supreme nature of ourself is hidden. We spoke about that, Avarana and Vikshepa Shakti, with the help of Maya. What the Lord has done? He has hidden our true identity. Okay. Now, when our true identity is hidden, then what happens? We get wrongly associated with that which is active around. And how that has happened? Let's go. We'll go step by step. And after this, I'll take much more technical details. Now, where this I factor is in the entire Panchakosha and how it has gone to various aspects. Now, let's understand a metaphor which Bhagavan Shankaracharya is giving over here. Okay. Chayahankaryor aikyam taptayah pindavan matam tadahankara tadatmyat dehaschetanam agat. Now what he says, the ego is like the heated iron ball. I'm giving the direct translation of this verse and then I'll start explaining. The ego is like that of a heated iron ball. That ego, due to the identification of the body along with the reflection of the consciousness within the body, it shows that it is the consciousness. How does this work? Okay, now the metaphor starts. An iron ball is circular in shape. Let's take a shortcut, a big iron ball. And it's heavy in weight, circular in shape, heavy in weight. And it's black in color and cold to touch. These are the properties of an iron ball. Now this is compared to the ahankara or the I factor in us. Okay, now The consciousness is compared to fire, which doesn't have a form. Fire doesn't have a form, isn't it? And it is weightless. It is bright in color, shining and bright, and it's hot to touch. So see the contrast between an iron ball and the fire. So now what happens? Now when you have seen an iron ball, let's say a blacksmith is working on it, fire and the iron ball are together. They move together in that fire chimney. How does the iron ball appear like? It appears like a fireball. Now how does it look? A red hot fireball. It no more looks like that black, cold and circular in shape. No, it's just a red hot fireball. So as this is known as in Sanskrit they call this Anyonya Adhyasa, imposition of characters mutually. Like sometimes you must have noticed when the soil is red on the ground and you have rainfall there. You have seen that water becoming red because it has gained the properties of the soil on which it has fallen. Otherwise, water is not red. In the same way, when iron and fire get together, they mutually exchange their properties and they look completely different. So what? What is happening here? Now we come to the technical details. I had explained earlier that we have Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is after the mind. First Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and then finally we have Vijnanamaya before Anandamaya Kosha. Okay? Now in Vijnanamaya, the intellect, you have the ego. As we have memory along with mind, along with intellect, we have the ego. Now, we also learned that in Karan Sharir, we have the vasanas, the samskars and the vasanas of your past lives and the current lives. So these vasanas, based on the likes and dislikes, it starts sending desires which erupt in the intellect. Now, when the eruption of a desire happens in the intellect, you must be thinking, no, you're sitting calm and quiet. Suddenly you get a desire. A good desire, a bad desire, whatever it is. But there is a desire in your mind. How does these desires come? They come in the intellect, Vijnanamaya Kosha, from the vasanas which you have developed. So, as the desire comes, now the ahankar, which is the egotism, is right there in the intellect. The moment the desire is erupted in the intellect, now what is happening? The desire and the ahankar, along with the consciousness, they move around in the entire body. Where does it move to? Now the desire is, let's say, you want to eat an ice cream. So you will start looking around. Your eyes will start looking around. Is there any good place to have an ice cream here? Or then you will go on the net and you will search on your apps nearest place for a good ice cream, and you will talk to somebody. You will start inquiring. So now all this is nurtured by the consciousness. I had given you a theory about how a thought comes in your mind. Object plus consciousness equals thought. Thought within bracket desire. See, we have learnt about all this, isn't it? Now, a thought minus object equals consciousness. Means what? When you are meditating, if you are away from the thoughts or from the objects, automatically the thought drops. The moment when you are meditating, I say a tree, immediately an object of a tree comes in your mind. The consciousness and the object both put together become a thought in your mind. I say a mountain. So mountain is the object plus consciousness. A thought of a mountain is formed in your mind. That is known as vritti in Sanskrit. Okay? So there is consciousness in every aspect of your understanding and functioning in the entire scope of operation. We have to remember this very carefully. So now, as a desire erupted in the intellect, the companion of the intellect is ahankara, that is egotism. So along with that egotism and the consciousness, it goes to every aspect of the body, meeting the requirement of the body and the senses. Now you are getting it? Now you relate to the Manimama case. He was going to each and every aspect of the family and meeting their needs. So in the same way, here all the desire which comes in is met by this ahankara, the egotism, I am eating, I am happy, I am suffering, I have a stomachache, I have a headache. So it is associated with that, and it spreads itself all around and shows that it is the main functionary of the entire body, mind, intellect. So what we need to do here is, we need to basically, this I factor in us, which has been built for several births, it won't just go away like that. Yes, when you inquire, it goes, but you have to drive it out. Now it is on the verge of going, but you have to lift and throw it out. So for that you need a bit of sadhana. Now let's say I have drawn on a white piece of paper, I have drawn a line, and I ask you to to decrease the height of this line or make it smaller without using an eraser. How will you do that? The best thing to make this line short is draw a longer line next to it. Then it automatically becomes short. So now for us to remove this ego, to drive this ego out or keep it under control, only to the extent of me identifying, yes, if I have gone out, I should know where my house is. My house, to that extent, my house, that's all. My people, my person, my things. Not with that it is the controller of everything. Because we know that the Supreme Lord who is in and through this entire body and mind, who has been that consciousness, he is the chief operator here. And the reason for all our worry is that we have considered ourselves, the small ego, that limited ego, to be ourselves. So to make this short, you have to draw a longer line, which means we need to do a bit of sadhana in a different way, which can curb the ego down. It has to Push the ego down. And I tell you, the most powerful mantra for this, which I personally have been practicing, is out of the four Mahavakyas, what we so call, in that we have Taittiriya Upanishad, Rig Veda mantra, Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam means that consciousness within me, that is the Supreme Lord. Just meditate on that. Prajnanam Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. Visualize that awareness within your body, that source of energy, that consciousness within you, and that is known as Prajna. You all know the meaning of Prajna. In Hindi, Sanskrit, it's the same. So when you meditate on this divine affirmation, Mahavakya, what happens? Then the ego starts loosening its hold on you. So I would request all of you to do a minimum of Prajnanam Brahma at least 54 times. Just sit, Prajnanam Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. See, the other Mahavakyas are Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. But what happens is, when the word Aham comes in over there, it again pulls you back to the I factor in you. Here there is no Aham. It is just that Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is the supreme entity within me. And feeling that awareness, when you do this, the mind slowly starts weakening. Gradually it weakens. And there you will see a gush of peace coming into you. Why? There is no mind. Mind is only utilized wherever needed. Whenever you need the mind, you have based on the facts. You will say, okay, let's go tomorrow, so and so time. That's it. Withdraw. As far as you are associated with this mind and this ego, this is the center of all the negative tendencies. Science says there are 16,000 thoughts which cross a human mind, 1/6, during the waking state. And dream and waking all put together, it's about 40,000 thoughts in a day. What kind of work are we doing to think of so many thoughts? Just imagine. How much of work do you have to think so much? You may have at best 10 or 15 aspects which you need to go give your mind or mind about. Other than that, there is nothing else. But it's the same repetition happening. How much of energy is being drained out? And that is called as stress. You are not what you are doing. And when your physical state and your mental state are in two different places, that is the main reason for stress. So always we need to ensure that where your body is, your mind also has to be there. The key to be stress-free. Observe your mind. That's all, simple. There's a small baby at home, your baby at home. 1.5 years. You don't know when, where, how that baby will fall or get hit. You don't know. So constantly your mind is on that baby, isn't it? On your child. In the same way, what we need to do is we need to constantly keep looking at our mind. What is it doing? Where is it now? What is it thinking? And the moment you start observing the mind will start getting under your control. So when it is with the physical state and the activity you are involved in, you are completely at peace. With consciousness, there is no mind required. So this Prajnanam Brahma will start increasing that line next to that small, say 3 inches line. You have started writing this, improving, meditating, and in deep meditation do this. Best time would be to do it when you get up in the morning. First thing, because there you have just come out of the delta state of your mind. You have reached the theta state. And from the theta you will be going to alpha. And after alpha you go to beta. So theta state is to re-energize yourself, which is only about 4 to 7 cycles per second of electrical impulses. Best time. That time, as soon as you get up, just keep Prajnanam Brahma, Prajnanam. Start your day with that consciousness, that supreme consciousness. And wherever and whenever possible, be in that state. A very powerful mantra, and please make use of it. Now, the whole purpose of spirituality is by sadhana. See, we ask a doctor, how's your practice? We ask an advocate, how is your practice? So for a spiritual seeker, you have to ask, how is your practice? Not how is your learning. There is nothing much to learn. It's all about practicing. One has to be more and more stronger. Increase the doses. Now we have started with the Mahamrityunjaya Japa. We have started with chanting the Bhagavad Gita shlokas. Now we are going to add this. And there are many more good things which are going to come our way. What we need is Atyantika Dukkha Nivrutti Paramananda Prapti. Means, as I am living in this world, I need to be at peace, I need to be in sublime joy, and at the end of this life, I need to reach the abode of the Lord. Can you get a better deal than this? That should be the purpose of spirituality. And for that, these are the practices which are prescribed. You go to a physiotherapist, he will examine what your problems are, and then he'll give you a list of exercises to be done if you want to improve yourself. Just by looking at those exercises and understanding the exercises, studying it 100 times a day is not going to make your hands or legs strong, or your neck or back or whatever it is. You have to put efforts. In the same way, whatever we are going to learn over here, I am sharing my personal practical experiences of life. As I have done my own kind of research with the knowledge available, with science available, and with practicality in life, I am trying to see how I could inculcate all this and bring about a change in one's own life and with your near and dear who want to adapt to this. So once when we start this sadhana, slowly we start increasing, that's the time where you will have that sublime peace and joy. What is spirituality? When you close your eyes, you should be peaceful. And when you open your eyes, you should ask, what can I do for you? That's all. That is spirituality in the true sense. And nothing should bother you. whatever be the condition. Because now by today's revelation, you have clearly understood that you are not what you had thought about yourself. There is that Supreme Lord, and there is this body and this mind. That's all. You are there in what sense? Only for that small identification. Yes, if somebody calls your name, you should be able to say, here I am, I'm here. That's all. But you have got no role to play in this entire body-mind structure. Once we have that deep understanding, we need to learn how I can remain in this understanding and make my life worthy.